Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Go-To Food Podcast, brought to you by Blink, the UK company revolutionising the POS game. And God, are they, Ben?
They are.
Today, we're joined by a genius, a friend of the show, and we've only just met, but a British Iranian chef, author of 7 best-selling cookbooks. Are there more on their way, Ben? I think there may be.
Well, certainly an 8's ready.
A lady who was once dubbed the Golden Girl of Persian cookery. That's a wonderful nickname.
I mean, it's great because it's like the girl thing really does it for me because I'm fairly sure I'm scraping 50.
Come on.
So,
Come on, that's quite incredible.
I'll keep that.
The wonderful Sabrina Ghayour. Welcome, Sabrina. Thanks for coming down from Yorkshire. It's a treat to have you. Now, you used to live in West London.
I used to, yeah.
What happened? So you went up to Yorkshire. I read that you went to a Michelin star restaurant and then fell in love with the place.
Yeah, I decided...
It's quite a bougie entry to Yorkshire.
It's really funny now I have a family. I decided that it was the summer months and I didn't want to go on holiday and bump into everyone and their children. And pay premium for it as well. So I just said to my mum, why don't we just have a quiet break and we'll go around the UK. We'll staycation.
Nice.
We'll do it nicely. We'll go to all these
Beautiful.
places restaurants I've always wanted to eat at, like on L'Enclume and, you know, this new Tommy Banks that was just kind of new on the scene. Not really new on the scene, but just went like stratospheric.
Yeah.
So I went to Oldstead. It was September the 4th. It was unusually warm for Yorkshire. It was 25 degrees. Ooh. Something about the light. I just was like, this place is just so beautiful. And I'd had this instruction from my accountant you got a tiny bit of money in the bank. You need to buy something before Brexit hits. And I just loved the area. And I said to Tommy the next morning, I was like, wow, this is amazing. But I've looked at this house in your village and it's like so expensive. He was like, just look in and around. It's not that bad at all. And I found this, you know, the house is 3 bedrooms, all on one level. Nothing special, not that idyllic sort of ethereal cottage with this. It wasn't like that at all.
No,
it's just like
wasn't
bricks.
a holiday.
Yeah.
It's like 60s, 70s bricks thrown together, but the garden,
You said you got an acre.
I do.
You said your mum's putting in all manner of fruit trees down there.
She's secretly, yeah, she keeps planting things at the back of the bloody garden because I'm never there long enough to see or even walk to the back of the garden. So
I admire that.
She's living her best life.
So basically, avoid Oldstead, but in the surrounding areas, you're good to go.
Oldstead's amazing, but I mean, everything
Price-wise.
post-COVID has gone up like a lot. Even my own property is nearly doubled. So I'm so glad.
Well
it's
played.
one smart achievement financially in my entire life that I've made. But
What's the food scene? You know, they call it God's own country, right?
it is God's own country, yeah. So North Yorkshire is the biggest county in the country, and they always remind me that this is how we know you're not from Yorkshire, accent aside, is because you just say, I live in Yorkshire, I'm from Yorkshire, and there is no Yorkshire, it's North Yorkshire, East Yorkshire, West Yorkshire.
Really?
So they always have a little bit of a giggle, but I love it, and I feel like there's just no corner of it I don't love. Like, it's beautiful 365.
It is beautiful.
Does the food live up to London? Like, is it quite cool up there? Are things happening? Are things popping?
Things are popping. There are some incredibly good restaurants and some incredibly good, unpretentious pubs, and I love that.
Yeah.
I want good pies. I'm not a fancy pants person, and yes, we do all probably eat out, you know, nicely sometimes. But I want a pub that has an excellent roast and a shit ton of gravy. I don't want to feel like I'm going to be killed by the kitchen if I ask for gravy. And in Yorkshire, like,
That's not a problem.
they'll go,
That's
do you want some more roast potatoes? Should I bring you some extra Yorkies? And you're like, love this place.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
So I feel like it's my calling, and the produce, like half the stuff we get from asparagus to chicken to meat, is all from Yorkshire.
It's all from Yorkshire.
It's all like near my house.
Yeah. It's incredible.
You know, so
Oh.
I feel very lucky.
Well, we'll have to
very
go up there and
jealous.
do a little
You
trip.
have to.
Yeah.
Since we
Gonna
last
come for
recorded,
feeding, sorry.
some incredible Blink merchandise. Well, actually, Sabrina told us off camera that these were double insulated, which is quite an exciting
Yes.
thing. So you're going to have hot and cold drinks. Ben, are you going to put something cold in there today or hot?
Well, I think why don't we bring together Blink and our Heppel Gin and do a Heppel Gin and Tonic?
Oh, that's a crossover.
Well, it
That's
is.
a wonderful collaboration.
It's also a masterful piece of getting our sponsors
Merchandising.
into the
Yeah,
section.
it's beautiful. Sabrina,
I'll get on with that, shall I?
you were born in Tehran,
I was, yeah.
which is quite incredible.
Is it?
Well, it is quite amazing. It is. But you were only there for a couple of years before the revolution, 79.
Yeah, that's
The country sort of flipped, you know, in different directions.
Amazing.
Lucky to get out. How crazy was it? Because I read, like, you know, especially if you were a lady then, it was quite terrifying.
I don't remember, but I've heard some not nice stories
your
from my
mum and-
mother. We are refugees. You know, like, I think it's important to know that in today's society, people look at refugees as one kind of face, and that's an uncomfortable one. It's not everyone fled in an uncomfortable and difficult and dangerous capacity. We did flee, but my mum studied here, had an apartment here, and we fled on the last flight out of Tehran. She has some horror stories that my mum was only like, I think she was probably about 22.
Wow.
Her dad had just died. Nothing to do with the revolution, but just coincidentally in his sleep. And some of the things that she had to do whilst things were kicking off in Tehran are like I 48, I couldn't imagine doing any of those things. Like, fearing for your safety, hoping you don't get arrested for nothing, just for the belief that you may have been up to something that would oppose a regime or whatnot. It's, in many countries, speaking out is a big problem. It can cause you problems 40 years after the fact, So
I'm guessing you guys have never returned.
My mother has.
She has?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the only thing for us is I'm not opposed. I would love to go back, especially, now I'm married. It helps because you're either under Islamic law, you're the property of your husband or the property of your father. Yeah. So you do have to, you can't just travel with a man and like, he's my boyfriend.
Casually,
Like you can't, you have to be respectful. So I would like to go and see where I'm from, my heritage. Like as much as I love England and England is my home and I honestly feel as British as fish and chips. I was born there. I speak a different language as well. I read and write a different language, things people don't know about me. Surprise!
Yeah.
I can read all your comments
We love
on
exclusives.
Instagram. I just pretend I don't. Yeah. And so that's my heritage. That's my blood and a beautiful history prior to this. We are dealing with millennia, thousands and thousands of years of history and food tradition that has impacted all the way to Italy. How can I not want to see that? But I'll choose when I feel it is the right time to see that. Also, we don't have any family there.
No.
People go every day and see their family there. Have the best time. People from multiple religions, not just, Muslims.
No.
Like there are a lot of religions that maybe by today's standard of politics wouldn't be welcome there, but they are and they live comfortably there. So...
You just have to be religious. That's my understanding. You have to affiliate
you really
yourself
don't.
with
Like,
no, but they
you
check.
really don't. You just have to be mindful. Like you're not going to go and find a bar where you can go and get hammered in. Like that's not going to happen.
No.
But if you know someone who knows someone, they're inviting you
might
there
be
to
all right.
their house. You will be
house
all
parties.
right.
Yeah.
My mother, she like in a previous life would tell me stories of other people that she would work with that had been to Christmas in Iran, and I'm like, really? God, that must have been so boring. She was like, are you nuts? Like all the parties of, the booze and the everything in and around that. Like she was like, they party in a way that we wouldn't even
Really?
know.
They party hard,
Yeah, they massive.
Go out to the mountains surrounding Tehran. I've seen
the Alborz,
some things. It's wonderful.
Really?
Mountains.
Yeah,
Have you been?
No.
Oh, I was going to
But
say,
you've
heard
so
some things.
I heard some things.
You'd be absolutely fine.
Yeah.
Men.
I would be.
Yeah, there's
I
a
would
time.
be.
There's a time.
You can also
and a
handle
place,
yourself.
But
Yeah, I reckon I could handle myself.
No, I think
yeah,
I couldn't handle
no,
myself.
I wouldn't.
All right, fuck
It'd
it.
make you disappear
Don't
in
do
like
it,
2
buddy.
seconds.
Oh Jesus! Maybe I won't go this year. Maybe we'll go next year.
As long as you're just there doing what you're doing.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
It's
Or maybe we
all
can take
good.
the podcast out there. I don't know.
I wouldn't do that.
Okay, I wouldn't do that. Your mum and gran obviously came with you.
Yeah.
You're a huge foodie, obviously. You're a food superstar.
Huge.
But your mum and
Oh,
gran,
thanks. Huge superstar.
not really into cooking. Is that right?
So, even though a lot of families, traditionally Middle East, the mother or the matriarch role, and sometimes the dad are amazing cooks. That just wasn't the case in my family. And like my family's, like there's 500 more plus of us, like, and they're all just rubbish. Like very few. I'd probably say I only know one decent cook in the family, and she's my grandmother's sister, and she moved to England in the 50s and had 5 kids, so didn't have maybe some of the perks that we had in Iran because life was better there then.
Is that why none of them were cooks? Because there were other people to cook? Yeah, right.
But you know what? With Asians, like in Hong Kong, like you know, you can have a housekeeper. You can just work somewhere and have a housekeeper and have a cook. You know, it doesn't necessarily mean you're loaded. It just means you're working.
Yeah.
So it's a slightly different ethos, and I think a lot of Persians were like, "That's not true," but each to their own.
Yeah.
For my mum was kicked out of the kitchen. So she never got a look in the kitchen. My grandmother came to England and she certainly did learn loads of things, but she flipping hated cooking.
Yeah.
Hated it. Like if I said I was going to try and make Christmas dinner, I was like 11.
Yeah.
She was like, darling, we'll go to M&S for you. You can do it. I'm like, why? I want to make it. She's like, why? Like, what? Why?
Why would you want it? Yeah.
So my love of cooking is because of my mother and Ken Hom, but because of my mother.
Yeah, tell us about Ken Hom.
So I, being a really fairly young kid in the early 80s, Ken Hom came to our screens 1983. Yeah. I was 6 and I was like, wow, who is this guy making this? Wow, just mind blown, him and Madha Jaffrey. Delia, not so much.
No?
Because I couldn't connect. It's a very different style, whereas like the Cantonese, well, even though he's not Cantonese, Chinese, but the Chinese and the South Asians, they make lots of different dishes.
Yeah.
And they use aubergines and things that are a bit more familiar to the stuff I was getting at home. And I was just hooked. Yeah. Absolutely hooked. Fast forward many years later.
He's quite sexy as well, Ken, isn't he?
Sexy.
Especially back in the day, yeah.
When he was working the wok as well. And the American-esque accent.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He still has an American accent.
Yeah.
It was
and also
lovely.
beautifully tailored.
Turned out, yeah.
He's
nice silhouette.
He's just, it's really funny. He's a lot more laid back these days. And
So hold on, are you now friends with Ken?
Oh, I've been friends with him for 25 years.
So how did that happen?
Come on.
I worked in a company called the Oriental Restaurant Group in the, I think from 2000 onwards, 2001 or something like that. And so they had loads of Thai restaurants called Sri Thai and Jim Thompson's. And then they had a couple of higher end restaurants, one in Canary Wharf, a couple in the city. And then my boss was like, yeah. So the group chef is coming, the group chef Ken. And I was like, I wasn't thinking it was Ken Hom.
No.
And he was like, so I'll bring him in because you've got to meet him. He's in town. So, and I was like, yeah, great hat.
Oh my God.
It's my boy.
It's my icon.
It's like
what happened when Val Warner walked in for you.
Yeah, it was. I was a mess. Yeah, genuinely.
Did you get a bit like...
It was flustered. We had to take him outside.
No, I know. We had to. Yeah, it was a mess actually. Yeah. And was he a sweetheart? Like, was it lovely?
Yeah, he was. He's funny. He's
really?
got a really let's say, funny sense of humour.
Yeah.
He's funny as fuck.
Oh,
yeah. He's just an absolute legend. And up until a few years ago, he could just jump into the splits on the floor. I just have to tell you that.
That was always his finishing act, wasn't it?
100%. Like I've got footage, but I'm not going to show you. But this man is limber. He likes to party, and I love him.
That was always his finishing move. It's like a wrestler.
It's just
awesome. Into the splits?
Yeah, so he'd create an amazing dish, and then if he thought maybe it wasn't, if it was like 80%, he's like splits. Do you know what I mean? Just a bit of a cover. It was beautiful.
He loves to dance.
Yeah.
That's it.
And you got to cook for him, right?
So I've cooked for him loads because we now have a lot of mutual friends as well, and I see him a lot when I go to Thailand. We saw him. We went round to his house for dinner a couple of months ago, and he tried to get my husband pissed on sake.
Oh, lovely.
And I was like, no, he's not drinking right now. So he's a.
I think if Ken says, "Do you want a drink?" you sort of just say yes, don't you?
I mean,
or did you?
I can't be led astray. You don't want to drink in Thailand. It's hot.
It is hot. Yeah.
It's hot.
Yeah.
And it's for me. I can't do that. And my husband, just being a Geordie, was as he said, piss and sweat all the way home, all the way back to the hotel. So, and I was like, I told you. And he's like, but it was Ken. What did I say?
You don't say no to Ken.
Talking Chinese food, I mean, you've had a bit of a sort of obsession with Chinese because you live near a Chinese supermarket. Is it right you started working there at 10 years old? Because that's illegal nowadays.
I was 11.
You were 11. I'm still illegal.
Yeah. No, I don't
What
know.
were you doing?
I don't know if it was because I had a paper job as well. So I wanted
That's
to
true,
work.
actually.
You were working hard.
Yeah. I wanted money.
So what were you doing in the Chinese supermarket?
So I went in, there was a row of supermarkets, like Filipino supermarkets, Chinese. But it's a Chinese supermarket. It was run by this Vietnamese guy who was pretty cool. His name was Philip. And he was super good to me. And I don't know what it was. I was just pushy. I was just like, dude, I want money. I want to work for you. And I want to have as much Coke as I want to work. Coca-Cola.
Yes.
I was 11.
Yeah, come on, guys.
I want to have as
yourselves.
much Coca-Cola as I want. And I want £1 an hour and a couple of packets of noodles.
Wow. He agreed.
He did. He went, Jesus. Go on then. And I learnt.
That's a business deal.
It was a business deal, and I actually learnt a lot. He was like, just need you to run the till. People will come in and they'll pick up this check and they'll do this, and here are the lobster tank. So I used to fish live lobsters out of the lobster, like up to here.
You're going in with your hands.
100%. And I was like 11. And this is the shit that people don't know about me. Like, I've worked almost in single digits of my own accord and gutted fish. Like, I remember this Arab guy came in and he went, I want all this fish. I can say that because I'm Middle Eastern now. It's right. I want all this fish. And I'll never forget it because it was grey mullet, and I can't eat grey mullet to this day because of what happened next. And I went to take this whole pallet of grey mullet and I dropped it. And then I was like, fuck, I've got to pick up all this grey mullet off the floor. So I picked it up and washed it off. And then he came back, swang by the other day, and he went and clean it. I was like, oh, no. Like, I would have said, no, it's on order. I can't. Yeah. So I gutted about 40 grey mullet as best as I could.
How old are you now?
How old am I now?
You're still 11 in this story.
I am. I'm 48 now.
No, not now. In the story.
In the story.
With the mullet.
I have turned 12, but it was gross, and it grossed me
And you
out.
just got stuck in and was like, I'll work out how to do this.
I had no choice.
But you've been taught how to fillet the fish?
No. I mean, I didn't fillet it. Like, he just wanted me to cut its guts out
take the gubbins out.
And just trim its head off. Like, I wasn't filleting. I still can't fillet. Well, I can.
Of course you can.
So how come, obviously,
attitude,
if your mum and granny weren't cooks, were they still dictate? Because you then took over the cooking at home quite young, right?
Yeah.
You basically get back from the Chinese supermarket at 11 and be straight into cooking supper.
Chinese supermarket was even earlier because I used to go to school in at the end of Earls Court Road. And used to pass the Chinese supermarket, and I'd be like, ginger, what's that stuff? Ginger, that's ginger, because they didn't sell it in the supermarket.
No. Yeah.
Garlic wasn't a thing really that much. It wasn't everywhere. You wouldn't walk into any supermarket and just find ginger, garlic, all of this stuff, chilies, no. So I remember making wonton soup really early on. That was around 7. I mean, and maybe it was a complete travesty.
No, I'm sure it wasn't.
But after watching that on repeat a couple of times, I was making them. So I just...
But if your mum and granny aren't cooking, are they dictating the menu? Because then how do you get... But then how do you get the education?
No, I'm a Capricorn. I don't let anyone tell me what I make.
No, but I mean, how do you get the education to, like, your sort of historical traditions of, Iranian food, Persian food?
Yeah, what was on the table?
So
2 to 11.
I love cooking for people. I love pleasing people. But you moderate as you get older, but I still love that hosting and feeding people. It's one of my biggest joys. Yeah. But Cantonese food was my thing because of Ken. It eclipsed any love I had for Middle Eastern food because I was getting Middle Eastern food, not at home, but in the family circle.
Yeah.
So everything I was making, like, for example, I think... what was Uncle Ben's is now Ben's.
Yeah.
Uncle Ben's had just brought out jarred sauces and packet rice. And so and there was a wok revolution happening. Yeah. 8 out of 10 homes in the UK owned a Ken Hom wok. He was one of the most watched people on television, like, ever on the BBC. So it was a big deal. And I was making stir fries and my mum was going, what are you doing? And I was like, I just want to make a stir fry. Yeah. And I remember one I made with English mustard powder.
Oh, Christ.
Soya sauce. And beef strips with carrots and courgette strips in it. And it was actually quite nice.
Yeah.
Like, I would revisit that now.
That sounds quite interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's spicy.
Yeah.
But,
nice.
Like, nice with rice.
Yeah.
And maybe I'd balance it out with, like, a little bit of sesame oil and a pinch of sugar now.
Yeah.
But it would be,
It's almost like what you were doing with the Amy Poon's produce with your Italian cooking. We got a lot of messages after that saying, if Ben does that collaboration with Amy, I want to be there.
Chintalian,
Chinese Italian.
Amy is legend, let me tell you, and she loves anchovies, so you can lure her with anchovies.
Really?
Yeah.
We shared interest.
Yeah.
That sounds weird. Were people liking what you were cooking?
Yeah, I
like,
think
were you
they
genuinely
just thought,
cooking for your family?
100%.
Yeah.
Like my grandmother's generation would come round and they'd be like, "Oh, isn't it marvelous? Like, she's isn't she just darling? And noodles, thank you, dear."
Really?
They were really humouring me.
Yeah.
I wonder if it was just shit,
no,
but I don't think it was.
So what did it like? I'm imagining a table laid out with sort of tadeh, gourmet sabzi, and then you're turning up with Uncle Ben's.
Not even because my flat I didn't grow up in a big flat, so they all sat on the sofa perched, and I would just make the stir-fried veg and stir-fry. It just started with stir-fries, basically. Yeah.
That is incredible.
And I used to bring lobsters home from the
Nice touch.
from the supermarket, and
With Philip's permission.
Obviously, he'd be
it's
like,
worth
take one home for the weekend. And I remember my family were like, oh, that's amazing. You get to bring lobsters home. If my sons came home with lobsters today, I'd be like, are they touching you?
Yeah, what have you
Like,
done?
what have you done? Like, is he scared? Like, what are you doing? I'd be so worried. Obviously, my stepsons are older now, but I would be petrified at that kind of generosity.
Right,
but to be fair, Philip was amazing. He was lovely, and he even taught me how to lacquer duck and make crispy duck, because I begged him. I said, please make crispy duck for me.
How do you lacquer duck? Is it still
whatever
in there?
mixture that he had with sugar, and he taught me about air drying and hair drying, and I was like, okay, I'll never make that. Just
Sounds amazing.
That's unbelievable.
It was a lot.
Have you got the boys working at a Chinese supermarket or not?
Do you know what? I wish they had that impetus. I'm at that point where I don't believe in financial bribery for children. No. Like, you want to do it, you need to come to me. I'm not going to go, darling, if you do this, I'll do it. No. Jog on. You'll do that anyway. Yeah. I'm not going to give you jack for that.
Yeah.
But lately, the little one who's 12, he's incredibly smart. He'll just get on the ride-on mower, like a full-on ride-on mower, and we'll mow the garden. Wow. And so he gets £5 an hour, which is pretty sweet.
That's pretty amazing.
Has he negotiated that deal? No, that was just on
he
the
could get
That's
more out
one
of
of his. I'm trying to teach him lessons in life. But he'll come in hard. He'll be like, "Oh, if you give me like £20 an hour," I was like, "Are you mental?"
You're an idiot.
I was like, "You're crazy. Who gets £20 an hour?
Yeah.
That's like way more than minimum wage." I was like, "Jog on, £5 an hour, 4 hours work," and he giggles. And then I'm like, "And if you hide behind the freaking trees, oh no."
Yeah, I'll know.
I'm watching.
I've got you.
Yeah.
Let's go to drinks. What's your go-to cocktail?
Tommy's Margarita. Flippin' love it. Don't like triple sec.
No. Okay. Fair.
Or oh my god, I can't remember. What's the Chilean/Peruvian one that they're always fighting over? Oh my god, Pisco Sour.
Pisco Sour.
Yeah, that is fucking good.
Delicious.
Yeah, it's phenomenal.
They had that moment. Freddie and I coming over for dinner.
Please.
You're serving us cocktails. What else are you putting out? What little snacks, drinks?
There's not going to be little snacks.
No?
We don't go little snacks.
Okay,
really?
We're still coming, so let us know what we're having.
100%. Like, I will book your train.
Yeah,
Let me tell you. Got rooms.
Yeah, well,
like,
we're ready.
I have a whole other floor upstairs now, so I can accommodate you too. We only go big or go home Persians. You wouldn't just come and just have crisp. Like, that's not going to fly.
That's an insult.
So we would probably do no less than about 12 dishes.
Oh, wow.
Not starters and main, all
it's
in
just
one
all out
go.
there.
And then dessert is a bit of an afterthought with Middle Eastern food.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, if you've got any room for dessert, then we've clearly
What have
not
you been
done
doing?
a good
Yeah,
job.
Yeah, right. Is that right?
Yeah, 100%. You should be dying, bursting, like physically in agony.
Yeah.
Because I don't eat when I host. I hosted a press dinner last week, and they were like, "Sabrina, you're not going to eat?" And I'm like, "Nope."
You didn't touch the sides?
No, because my adrenaline is through the roof. But that's the host's thing in my culture, is you don't really eat. Your job is to go, "Oh, do you want something like there's a millimetre of space on his plate? Like, quick!"
Something in there.
Or, "Oh my God."
So a bit like Amy Poon the other day, to be fair. She was...
It's a very...
Good hosting culture.
It's a
another
very
good hosting
Eastern culture thing.
Yeah.
It's like Greeks, Turks, Persians, South Asians, Southeast Asian. It's the same.
Yeah.
You're a guest. If you don't live in that house, you're a guest. If you're my neighbour, you're a guest. If you're my best mate, you're a guest.
Do you have like the equivalent of a mint tea to kind of open up the body, or like the French tea with that little brandy shot?
We don't do mint tea. We have a black tea called gunpowder tea in English for some reason.
Right.
And it comes as a digestive after the meal, and it's very strong. And you can do something called qand pahlu, which means you take
illegal.
sugar and like... I know, it does. It's not.
You're gumming sugar.
It should be. You literally... you literally put sugar in a cube of sugar, and you got to keep it there without it dissolving, and you use it to sweeten every mouthful of tea.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, but like as a kid, I must have gone through about 6 cubes
just
of
chewing
sugar
through
just
the sugar.
trying to keep it like,
That's awesome.
intact. So
We should definitely do that.
We should. Does it affect
Maybe like
conversation?
a rated R version.
Sorry?
Does it affect conversation? I'm thinking of gentlemen. I don't know if this is like you, Freddie, but nowadays people put snus, whatever that stuff's called, in their lips.
The Swedish.
Yeah, and then sometimes you're talking to them and their mouth's not moving quite.
Or like,
right.
what are you doing?
Do you know what I mean?
But that's quite
And so,
conducive
like, I'm wondering
to
with the sugar.
Scandinavian conversation because my friends are Swedish, and I remember when I was working in hotels. We were young. We were only 18, 19, and he would walk around with that. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Like, your dad does that, and then they like spit every now and then. Like,
it's a bit odd. It's kind of come back in fashion. I never thought it would come back around.
Very much in fashion.
What about talking about tea, morning drink, first thing you have in the morning every day?
Coffee.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Anyway?
Black, white, who's making it, how are you making it?
Who's making it?
Well, I don't know. You just
one of my many team.
Yeah.
No, I'm making it. I've got a coffee machine at home, and I'm really good with it because it encouraged me to spend much less on coffee externally. I fundamentally have beef with a £5 coffee in a not so great but very famous
You're a coffee snob,
place.
aren't you?
No, I'm not.
You said you are. Previously.
You've been on.
Yeah, you said you're a bit. You want it to be good.
No, but I like good coffee. Right. But for me, a Nescafe capsule will do the job.
But when you're out and about.
No, I'm not a coffee snob.
Really?
I tell you why.
You're going to have to retract that article. I'll send it to you later.
I'd like that removed from the internet.
Yeah.
I like good coffee. I just don't like instant coffee. Okay. But moreover, I'm realising, and also I'm a different person now, age-wise.
Yeah. You moved to Yorkshire. I mean, everything's changed.
Not going to lie, boys. Lady hormones take over. You become a different person.
Okay.
You might experience that one day.
Yeah.
But, like,
I've seen it.
It happens to men too.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. I went into a coffee shop years ago with a journalist, and he said, let's go in here. And I said, okay, never heard of it. And it was a New Zealand coffee shop in Soho. And I said, hi. You're like, super, hi, I'm polite.
Yeah, nice.
Hi. And he's like, what can I get you? I was like, I'm not really sure what you call it. I just basically want, like an Americano with like cold milk. I don't know what the trendy term for that is. And he went, we call that coffee for pussies. And I went,
legend.
Eh? And he went, coffee for pussies.
Oh my god.
And then he went, can I get a name, please? And I went, puss a fucking liar. Write that on your cup. And the journalist was like, what? I just thought, how rude. And then I drank the coffee and I was like, it tastes like shit. It tastes acidic and I don't like it. So maybe I don't like fancy coffee.
No.
That's
maybe
good.
I'm just low-key ghetto.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering where you are.
I think that's a good place to be.
Beautiful. So happy with it, to be honest.
I think it's a more relaxing spot than that fella was in, I think. Do you get hungover? Ever?
Yeah.
And do you have a hangover cure?
Don't drink.
That's a bug.
Excellent hangover.
Nip it in the bud early,
But I never used to get hungover. And I'll be honest, probably from my early 20s to my mid to late 30s, I didn't drink.
Really?
Because I was working 100+ hours.
You were grinding.
And I couldn't, my jobs were day and night because I worked in events. So you'd do the day prepping for the event and then the evening you're working late, straight in the next day. So I just kiboshed that and didn't really feel like I wanted to unwind with the people I work. I just want to go home and unwind.
I know that feeling.
So yeah, but now antihistamines are the way forward, especially when you're older. Yeah.
Really?
I have to take one before I drink. Otherwise, I'm like for 3 days.
Unbelievable.
And I need to line my stomach before.
So is an antihistamine like a hay fever tablet?
Yeah.
Are there specific ones we should be on?
No, not specifically. And you probably need to check your own body and things like that.
Yeah.
But when
Sabrina,
you get
I'll be
older,
checking nothing.
Apparently you can develop subtle allergies that your body never had before. So like I never had hay fever before hormone issues. I don't want to say the word.
No, I know, but it's and now you're afflicted.
Over 40 and now I've got ridiculous hay fever even with the antihistamine. And then quite a few people told me, try an antihistamine and it helps. It kind of softens it, but I know I need to have carbs before I eat. And I'm a daytime drinker now because I just can't do I still do, but I can't do I just want to go out for lunch, get hammered once in a blue moon and just go home by 9.
Oh. Well, I should say that today's episode is brought to us by our brilliant friends Blink, the UK-based legends turning the POS game on its head. There are no long-term contracts. There are no hidden fees. There are no per-device charges. If you run a restaurant, you're listening, you know how painful traditional POS systems can be. They're clunky, they're slow, and worst of all, they're expensive, Sabrina. Blink is different. It's the first POS that needs zero training. Your team can be up and running in minutes. It's built for real hospitality workflows, and it costs just £49 a month for unlimited. I mean, you used to work with lots of restaurants. That's incredible.
That is incredible.
Very, very good.
What would a normal other restaurant be paying?
You're looking at 150 to 300 quid. Minimum 150. Minimum.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, so 49 quid for unlimited advisors, 24/7 UK-based support, while others charge you a lot more. So save money, no stress, and no tech headaches. Blink wants to help you save money, so use the code GOTOBLINK, BLINQ, and you get your first month free. And also, if that wasn't enough, there's a competition running.
There's an unbelievable competition. It's not live yet, Freddie.
Not yet.
But just keep an eye out.
It will be.
In a couple of weeks, probably live.
So, and the big prize for that is to what? Win a free
You get a
year
free of Blink. You get some restaurant vouchers. You get a free iPad, free phone.
Jesus Christ.
Greg's going to cook you dinner. There's all sorts of things in
sounds
there.
like the most amazing thing ever.
It's all good stuff.
Sabrina, you never worked as a chef. For 17 years, you worked restaurants, hotels. You worked at Pret, McDonald's. Can we get a highlight, lowlight reel of this?
You really went deep on the research here, didn't you? I worked in hospitality for nearly 30 years now. I think this might just maybe even more. Yeah.
Well, if you count the Chinese supermarket,
probably.
Well, I mean, I count from I count from sort of McDonald's onwards. I was 16 when I started working in McDonald's.
I think it's tough on Philip for him to be eradicated from your history, but that's fine.
Philip was like OG kind of like
Listen, you
Zen
were in the
type.
tanks. You were filleting fish. Okay, so 16.
I didn't work in a kitchen, but I remember I worked in a Michelin star restaurant. One that has actually seen a couple of quite big name chefs come out of it, and
Can we get a name?
I'll avoid that. I'll tell you why later.
Okay, good.
Okay. We like to bleep on this podcast.
I know. Yeah, I'll avoid that.
It's great for our direction.
And I remember working for. I directly reported to chef, who's a real tough character, really old school guy, and. Basically, he always used to. His office was like this glass box in the middle of the kitchen, quite a big kitchen considering. And I remember just spending so much time just watching the chefs. Like, if I had a lunch break, I'd just go and see what's going on in service. And he was like, "What's going on?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm just watching the chefs." After a while, I think everyone in the kitchen kind of got like that. She just really loves what's going on here. And I had a lot of times where chef would say to me, I'm going to do his accent because he's Austrian. He was like, "You know what, Sabrina, you should really consider working in the kitchen." And I was like, "Chef, no." And he was like, "Why?" And I said, "Because I'm too old. If you shouted at me, I'd probably pick up the nearest pan and smack you over the head with it." I was only in my late 20s, but at that time I thought I was really like, I'm old and way past it, because they were like kids in the kitchen, but young people in the kitchen that were like, a lot younger than me. So I thought,
you'd already been working
way
for 16
past
years.
I thought, way past it. But when I went on a couple of jobs later and I lost my job working in the city doing events and whatnot, I had no money. I had debts and I didn't know what to do. And so I did the one thing that I'd kind of been doing on and off, and that was catering. So I never worked in a restaurant, but I did work 17 hours a day, 7 days a week for years, running my own business, doing catering, doing cook and drops where you don't even have to have me on site. I'll prepare all the food and you just need to whip out the containers and just, here's the stuff, here's the garnish. And did catering jobs and cookery classes at people's homes. Had no money for taxis or anything like that. Used to drag a sholly with a shopping trolley with 12 chopping boards, 12 knives on public transport and the ingredients, and go to Stanmore, because the housewives of North London and
And was that Persian food, or was that kind of anything?
It was Persian and Middle Eastern food. It was just coming up to when I got the book deal for Persiana. So I feel like I did all this legwork and groundwork, and catering is hard. I've got 2 dodgy discs because of it, and my back, and 2 in my neck, and I lugged shit that, I had nobody else to help me. So I did it, and I did it for next to no money, nothing. But I'm so glad I did it, because all those same people, those hundreds of people, just bought my book when it came out, and the dinner parties that I had done, it was like, oh, that was that lovely girl that did the catering. Let's buy her book. And
well, it won enough awards, didn't it? The first book, and the next 2 were Times bestsellers.
Yeah,
maybe the next 3.
It was strange, because people are like, "Oh my god, it was just such an overnight sensation." I was like, it really wasn't. It might look that way. It really wasn't. It was quite a slow graft from May when it came out to December. December is really when it was like boom, it peaked.
Were there things that kind of lit it?
No, I don't
little
think
moments.
so. I think, when media, and all is said and done, media is an added bonus that really does enhance your career from an author's perspective, because you're trying to sell books or trying to get people to a restaurant or whatever that is. But it's not a given. It's not enough. And I think that actually, because I'd done so many supper clubs in my flat, I had done so many other things elsewhere, and cookery classes and these catering jobs everywhere. Like, I had a built-in audience already of people who were asking me for recipes all the time. And then they got the books, cooked from the books, and then it did its rounds all over North London and wherever, and the dinner parties brigade, and became like, I don't know, some kind of darling for people at home, because it was just easy.
But also it was new, right? 2011.
It was new.
Persian food wasn't really about in this country.
You know.
You were inspired by...
What was the sort of landscape? So there was some Middle Eastern movement in it, like food-wise. But 100%. Then I remember when Persiana came out, it felt very like exciting and radical and a new cuisine.
I would say because I live in West London, that's a real sort of Persian area. Like I grew up with like 20 Persian shops around the corner. However, when 2013 I got my book deal, they said, what kind of book do you want to write? And I was like, a really commercial one. They're like, oh, great. That's music to their ears. And I said, the one thing that frustrates me about recipes when you're opening a book from anyone's cuisine of any corner of the world is like, where the hell do I get that? Yeah. And then buying this one thing like, Eye of Newt extract, and it is £6 and it was in the back of the cupboard, and like 17 years later you take it down and you curse the person that made you buy it and you only used it.
How dare you?
I'm cursing him.
Honestly, that would just be awesome for me. I'm not... He paved the way for people like me with Middle Eastern food. Let's not get it twisted. If there wasn't a Yotam, I'd be screwed, because people would be like, Yotam really has helped loads of people in the canvas. Indirectly.
Yeah, of course.
And it has made people be a lot more like interested in the kind of food. And I am like, people called me for such a long time, oh, she's the easy Ottolenghi. And I used to get like, I'm not Ottolenghi, he's a bloke.
Yeah.
And a restaurateur. And I used to be like, why am I getting so wound up about it? Yes, I am the easy Ottolenghi. Yes. Nice to meet you. Knock it out. Knock yourself out and, get cooking, because it will just take a fraction of the time. But I purposely always and still always test using supermarket products.
Yeah, nice.
Mostly, for the most part.
That's clever.
I wanted to be that person. You can write the beautiful, ethereal, romantic, gorgeous book, and I've got loads of them and I love them. But do I actually flipping cook for them? I think I've maybe cooked twice from some of my favourite books, from my favourite authors. Yeah. I don't want to be that. I want to be the splattered, dirty, burnt book on the side of your kitchen that you kind of take a half recipe from because you've already done that one, and you just know you can use whatever because your mate doesn't eat beef, so you're going to use chicken instead. That's who I am.
So who do you like? Which books do you...
You know what?
Does Nigella still get a shout out?
I love Nigella. Love. What does that woman not know about like convenience and simplicity and friggin' cake? I've never made a cake recipe as her, or any dessert recipe of hers that was shit, didn't work. Never.
She's got them locked off.
She's just... She's iconic.
She is. She's brilliant.
She really is. And I won't... Honestly, I feel... like I would never hear a bad word about her, because I feel like even people like Jamie Oliver, God's honest truth is, what the hell was a green curry before Jamie Oliver came on the scene? I didn't know.
Yeah.
So many people would be lying if they said that they did. He had a massive hand in making us eat buffalo mozzarella and shit that we weren't really
I went on a Thai green Jamie Oliver curry course.
Yeah.
Did you?
Specific?
Yeah, it was like a 2-hour course in the evening. All you made was the Thai green.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
But like, it was completely packed out for months.
Where were you?
Unbelievable.
Like, where was this
Don't know where
course?
it was. I can't remember.
But in this country?
Yeah, in this country.
With the big
man?
Thailand. No, I don't know. Maybe he was doing
no, the big man wasn't there.
I went all the way to Thailand and found Jamie Oliver.
Of course. No, do you remember you used to have like shops, I think, which had like little kind of
bags of paste and things
cooking
like
that. Do you remember those?
Oh, right.
Or whatever. Yeah, anyway. 2011 though, when you started Supper Club, you were quite clever with the way you sort of attacked it, because you had this sort of viral thing when you were copying a famous Michelin-star chef. Is that right?
I love it that you say I was quite clever. I didn't have a freaking clue what I was doing, and I made a joke online that went viral. Like, clever. You can't from a marketing perspective, having been a marketing person, you couldn't do that if you tried. Like, it just wouldn't land the same way.
So what was the joke?
So it was 2011. I lost my job. I was coming up knowing that I was going to lose my job in June. January, there was an announcement that Thomas Keller is coming to London. I was like, oh my God, Thomas Keller. I love Thomas Keller. Like, he's one of my big heroes at the time. And I was like, buzzing, it's coming to Harrods. Yes, I'm going to do that. I knew I had debt, but I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
And then I lost my job. And I was like, oh, shit, I really can't do that.
No.
That's 250 quid. Like, I could do that. But then I just pushed myself further into debt. And I just went, sod's law, just been made redundant. And like, can't spend that anymore on like French laundry and gutted. I can't do that. So maybe I should just do French laundrette and do it for £2.50. And it just went on Twitter and it just went nuts. I had people going, oh my God, that's a great idea. You should do it at my restaurant. I will give you beef. Someone said, I'll do this. We'll give you cheeses. I'll volunteer front of house. I'll volunteer in the kitchen. And within about 10 minutes, I took 30 bookings and I just stopped. And I went, right, events manager Sabrina's just kicked in. And I just went, okay, capped. And then I said, I'm open. Then I got savvy. I was in the Independent the next day. And then Hot Dinners had picked it up first. And then it was in the Independent. And then it just kind of went through all the newspapers. And I opened a phone line. I did like an American accent, like, thank you for calling the French laundrette, like really like calm and money, Like, and I actually, for about a month and a half, that was, I think maybe even 2 months, I would plug this office line that I had in the wall and it would ring all times of day and night. And my mum's like, what, is there something wrong with that phone? I went, no, it's ringing.
Yeah.
And I had people from Thomas Keller's restaurant, his chef going, I'm doing the pop-up at Harrods, but I'm dying to come. And I was like, awesome. I cannot get you tickets. You have to do it the right way.
That's unbelievable.
So what was the food offering?
We had amazing projects. Like every single thing was donated. So that there was no costs, so that I could 100% give every ticket proceeding and an auction or something or a raffle, give the money to Action Against Hunger at the time. Because I thought, if you're going to do it, make it good. So we raised about 4K. It wasn't a lot, but it was still not bad for a £2.50, and we let people donate whatever they wanted. So we had rack of lamb with black garlic puree. Black garlic was really new and they were so good to us. We had amazing lamb from Yorkshire, a guy from Rosewood Farms that I still speak to now. We had cheeses. I tasked one person to make one item as a nod to Thomas Keller. These famous waffle cornets that had the chopped salmon tartare, one of his signature amuse-bouche. And he came back and I went, what the fuck is that? And I went, that's a cornetto. It was like this
massive.
big. I was like, mate, what have you done? And he's like, I just couldn't get them any smaller. I went, fuck's sake. Like ice cream scoop worth of salmon on top. But it was nice. That's and brilliant. It was actually delicious. And I had some incredible chefs in the kitchen. So it was chaos, and I don't remember much more than that. That's awesome. But it was a wonderful.
Well, all this sort of food made me incredibly hungry. Ben, what have you made? You always make something incredible for the guests. You sometimes put yourself down, but not today.
No, I'm gonna put myself down.
Oh, what?
No, I'm not.
Oh, good.
I've made some. To me, these are very.
Don't tell me you've made one of my recipes.
Yeah,
it's one of my favourites. To me, these are very famous. Okay. They're like meatballs with sour cherry.
Oh yeah,
and like delicious, like rich tomato sauce. I make them a lot. I think they're very popular.
They are, actually.
Anyway, so I've made those. I probably haven't made it to your recipe because I've done what you said.
Do something
I've been
different.
making them for years.
Do something different. I want that.
I don't know. We'll see how they come out.
But... you obviously then started doing supper clubs regularly, but like that was a pretty brutal time of your life, albeit enjoying, sort of enjoyable.
Yeah.
Like I read you were doing some serious hours. What was that like?
Yeah, it was a real learning curve for me. The good thing is because I had like restaurant discipline about hygiene and things like that. I did have 2 fridges back then, and I was very careful about. Contamination, temperatures, cleaning. I clean on the job, clean as I go. And I think people, I was I didn't have any staff. I was the cook, the cleaner, the waitress of the night.
Your mum didn't get involved?
No, are you mad? No, my mum would literally, along with my boyfriend at the time, would sit in the hallway, like 10 o'clock, be like, we're here. And I'm like, they're not gone yet. So like, she sat in the hallway of our building for ages and ages. I think it was really good because a lot of people, you know, I heard horror stories, you know, people come to you and they tell you all these horrible things that they've like been forced to eat, like where nobody's given a toss that they were vegan or vegetarian. And just somebody said, I just got a boiled onion. It was really weird. And I was like, what? Whereas I really went to town and I'm glad I did it. I don't think I could physically do it anymore because it was just a lot. But it was a great formula, and you know, my kitchen was clean by 1 a.m. I would not go to bed if all the dishes, I washed all the dishes by hand. I didn't have a dishwasher, and we had 3 plates of every single dish on the table, so there was like 30 plates of food throughout the meal.
Oh my god.
So it was
so was that like 2 days, 3 days prep, or?
No, I'd get up at 8 o'clock in the morning, and I would prep it, and customers would come at 6:30. And I'd make them a drink and settle them down. And we had some incredibly interesting, like, quite awesome people.
Go on. Give us a sample.
Well, I think the only one
just hit 100K. We need to celebrate.
Nigella came.
Wow.
She shared that. I wouldn't share it otherwise. Nigella came and I thought that was really funny because I knew that she was coming. She had said, listen, I know you're fully booked. And I said, actually, I've just had a cancellation. Otherwise, I couldn't even say yes to you.
Yeah.
Wow,
look at this.
Smells great. Well done, you. Thank you. And a radish salad. Excellent.
Wow. Beautiful.
Oh, wow.
I'm going
to fetch another spoon for you. I've left it in my other bag.
If this wasn't my own food, I'd be like, what an assault on the senses in a wonderful way. And I'm like, don't be a tosser.
No, please do. Celebrate.
It smells really
Celebrate
nice.
Ben's genius.
Yeah, it's
and
amazing.
Sabrina's genius, of course.
She does.
Sorry, so Nigella came. She got a last minute cancellation.
She did. She came with her sister and her sister's husband, and I just said, when do you want to arrive? She went, well, how's it? Like, what's the format? 'Cause she's really down to earth.
Yeah.
And I said, well, we do this, we do drinks, and then we sit down. She said, well, I'll just come when you sit down. And I said, okay, no problem. And then that time, because I had really hurt my back, I actually had somebody helping me. And then I just went, open the door if you wouldn't mind. And she went, yeah, no bother. And I just went, when you open the door, just don't scream. Like, whatever you do, don't scream. Just act really cool.
Yeah.
And don't pause. Just normal.
Yeah.
And I could see she was just like, what? Thank you so much.
That is hilarious.
And then she just walked in and was super nice. And then the lovely girl came and she was like, what? And I was like... And then the guests were like...
That is amazing. So how many guests do you have? 10? 12. Yeah. And they just sat around the table?
This is probably slightly bigger than my living room.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, and I had 12 because I realised one day I'd overbooked, so I had to cock it. I cocked up and had to pull another table that didn't really belong there, and I wedge it onto
What about Diana Henry? She must have come.
No, she didn't actually, but...
yeah, well...
I mean, she doesn't need my food. Diana's amazing. She's similarly another legend. But I've been to her house.
Really?
Yeah, I went to her house for an event. I love her.
She's brilliant.
Absolutely love her.
And did those supper clubs lead to the first book deal?
Yeah, 100%. It was actually at my supper clubs because I didn't have time. I needed to work all the time in order to make even, just to pay my bills. And so I remember one week this lady came, her name was Fiona. I didn't know what she did, but she was just like, oh my god, your food's amazing. I was like, okay, thanks, great. You know, I was in my 30s. I wasn't sort of like wet behind the ears, new, like, ooh. And she was just like, I work for a publisher. I'm like, oh, really? Okay, great. Well, cool. Thank you so much. Like, she was just like, I'd really like to come back with, one of our editors. And I was like, okay, great, thanks. And then I just put it to the back of my mind. And she
had it never been something you thought about? Or was it like a dream that had kind of been like
it had
bubbling away?
I once went to a publisher and the publisher went, well, your food is all brown. It's just bland looking, just like Indian food. And it's just all brown. And nobody's going to like this. And she actually said to me, I don't think the world is ready for Middle Eastern food. And I looked up, I won't tell you what publisher it was. No, she doesn't work.
It's lovely that she was wrong.
She's retired now.
Yeah.
But
all the more reason.
I just looked at her and I went, the world's not ready for Middle Eastern food. Have you heard of ottolenghi? And I just got up and walked out. And I said to my agent, I'm really sorry. I will never do that again, but I've just walked out.
Yeah.
Like, I was so offended.
Yeah, it's a ridiculous thing to say.
That's like the food of my culture.
Yeah.
But anyway, this publisher didn't. She was just like, next day, book deal.
Let's do it.
Publisher. And I turned it down.
You turned it down? Yeah. How come?
Because they'd done a lot of research and gone to all of the dishes that I've created. This was exactly these things. And she said, we want to publish all of these and baba ganoush. And I went, no,
I'm out.
No, fuck that. No.
Well, she specifically said
Did she come?
Right at the end, she said baba ganoush at the end of the email. I went, no. I was like, there's 1 trillion baba ganoush recipes. I don't want to write
another
that
one.
book.
No. Did she come crawling back? Is she who then published the book?
She didn't have to because she was super awesome. My agent was just like, chill your boots. They want you to do, they're happy for you to do whatever.
It was a slip of the tongue.
Yeah, she was just like, they're flexible.
How good is this, really?
Unbelievable.
As in, I'm not, this is because it's a recipe, not because I cooked it.
It's so good.
Honestly, having anyone cook for me is such a rarity.
Well, you'll probably now be able to tell me that I've absolutely bollocks it up.
No, you haven't, because you
very
put
delicious.
the right amount of salt in there for me.
Are we all right?
Oh my god,
Okay,
I love
good.
it.
All those years being
Thank you very much.
What I will say is your recipes are like bulletproof. They're just like beautifully so like they make perfect sense. And I say that as someone who's written a lot of recipes.
So good.
What's your process?
I do everything.
You do it all
myself.
yourself.
I don't send my.
There's no one in the
out.
game with you saying,
Nope.
Should we measure that?
Because what are they going to know? Like, how are they going to know the crazy ideas in my head, and then how are they going to know like how to recreate that? Like, I'm still having people skinning tomatoes and concassing them. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Like, we don't do that. Why are you removing the seeds of the cucumber? We don't do. Have I written that? No. Just chill.
Just relax.
Read the recipe.
Yeah.
You can't go wrong. And that's the problem. We don't have that French discipline or culinary institute training. I still have people whip out kit when it comes to making my recipes. If you make one of my loaf cakes using a hand whisk, it's not going to rise the same way. I've made it in a bowl with a friggin' spoon.
Yeah.
And if you do that, you're going to alter the chemistry of it. It's not going to be the same
relax.
product.
Everyone just relax.
Read the recipe.
Yeah.
Take a breath.
Well, I mean, and that is true. They are bulletproof and not overly simple. You know, they're genius.
But they're not complicated.
They're not complicated.
They're not daunting. They might have sometimes long ingredients list. Sorry.
But not really.
But it's only because of the spices usually in there. But you can leave them out. Like, you could do this in a pinch with like a tablespoon of ruffle, hanout or baharat if you would like don't have those spices, can't be bothered.
But you've done 7 books, you're working on your 8th, you got a couple more in the mill, possibly, who knows.
We're calling them 9.
These are conspiracy theories. But, you know, you haven't been back to Iran, but you do a lot of travelling. But how do you get your inspiration for, like, you know, you've already done 7 books. For new recipes. Like,
people ask me
how do you not dry up?
I genuinely am like the biggest food lover and geek going, and I love cooking for people and feeding them, even that if that's a toasty. Like, I genuinely love food.
Yeah.
And I think you can tell.
You can tell, yeah.
Because you don't have to know me for very long. Like, I can talk about varieties of courgettes with the kind of excitement that some women get diamonds, you know. Like, I am like ground level. If somebody says, I'm going to take us to the mozzarella factory, I'm like buzzing. Yes, let's go.
3 a.m. I'll
you know, 100%. Like, let's do it. You want to go fishing? Yes.
Yeah.
Let just show me. I don't know jack about Jack, don't get me wrong, but I want to be.
Yeah.
I want to sit with you and ask you all the things that you know about food and have you show me stuff and ask your mum and whatever. I want to know. I love that.
In a normal week, what types of food are you cooking at home? Like, what does a mealtime look like?
Let's do this last week.
Yeah.
Where I was home for a short period of time. Save a cookery class that I did online, but dinner on Saturday night, my last dinner with my husband.
Not ever.
No, not ever.
I was just thinking,
honey,
I hope he knows
you're
that.
toast. It's over between us. This is where I'm going to.
You think you're going to see you at breakfast and you're gone?
No, he's my person, so that's not news.
All right, well, that's a relief.
So I, my love for Thai food. So I made sirong hai, which is tamarind-based sauce on steak. It's crying tiger beef.
Yeah,
like,
nice.
I'm obsessed with that. I was like, I'm going to leave something because my boy likes meat. He's a northerner, you know. You can't get him with what he calls green shite. He's like, it's just too green. I'm not going to eat that green shite. He'd walk out of here because there's cucumber on the table.
Wouldn't be a fan.
And then I made ribs, and then I made Turkish feast because it was my eldest son's 16th birthday. I do Pakistani curry, I do grills, I do different kinds of kebabs, I make cakes, I bake biscuits. Like I'm freaking Martha Stewart, but like I'm Martha Stewart. Like
the Persian Martha
I'm
Stewart.
like Persian Martha Stewart. Like, you know, I am like a Susie homemaker type.
Yeah, beautiful.
Nobody makes me that way. Don't get me wrong. I love.
That's what. Yeah.
It's a bit like you, Ben.
Yeah.
No, honestly.
You're
Definitely.
Benny
I'm
homemaker.
Sorry, Martha Stewart. And I think I've got a bit of bird in my future as well. I think I could go to prison for no apparent reason.
Obviously, the restaurant industry is a hard place right now. Is that the same with the cookbook world? Has it changed over the 11 years you've been sort of publishing, releasing books?
There are certainly more titles than there ever were, and the market is flooded with diversity of culture, which, like, I'm for it. I love. But it's not necessarily the authors that aren't providing the great content.
Yeah.
People are publishing for the sake of publishing.
Yeah.
And it could have all gone really wrong with COVID, but it didn't, because people just went, I've rediscovered your books again, or I've cooked more in COVID than ever. So it has been good. But I think that's thinning down now because people are really back to work and back to not having time. And so it's difficult to stand out in a world. Like, I wouldn't want to be me newly now in this world.
Trying to make that splash initially. Yeah.
11 years is a long time to have under your belt, having done something consistently.
What did like social media and book marketing look like when that book came out? I can't even think. It was a bit of Instagram.
It wasn't even so Instagram
Some
heavy,
Twitter,
to be honest.
bit of Twitter.
Yeah, it was Twitter mostly. But you know what? I had this like... I remember when I worked in the city, and I did. I'm going to tell you something. I did Come Dine With Me years ago.
Oh. Really?
Oh, you're not that well researched, are you?
Fucking calm down.
Freddie, what happened?
I don't know.
No, it's okay.
Is it on?
One of my dirtiest secrets.
Is it on 4AD? Can we find
No,
it?
it's not on there. Thank
That's
God.
why you
no.
better.
Oh, I'll find it.
If you do, will you let me know?
I will do,
I'm
What
up
year,
seeing
roughly?
it. I think it was 2008 that it. Yeah, I think it was 2008.
Okay. So, and how did that
West
pan
London
out?
West
series.
London, okay.
So I applied, and needless to say,
You won.
like, you would never have even heard about this had I not won. I just have to say, and I cook Middle Eastern food, so it was. I wasn't really doing that much Middle Eastern food.
No.
Then. So, in and around that time, I started blogging when it was like a new thing, and I had this blog, which sounds like a porn site now in hindsight, called Sabrina's Passions.
Yeah.
But everyone in my company that we worked in the city, everyone like who was a food lover subscribed to it, and I'd write a recipe every week or something like that and send a mailer. So I built this mailer. And that's my inner marketing me. You know, I had this mailer, and I have it now, and it's like, it's not like hundreds and thousands of people, but it is like, you know, I think it's nearly 19,000 now.
Wow.
But it's people that actually are wanting.
Yeah, they've
I'm not
opted in
spamming random
read.
people.
Yeah.
So it's had a slow and steady growth, which in my mind is really the best growth.
Yeah.
And word of mouth, and just I've fed a lot of people all over the country. I've met a lot of people. I've responded to everyone that my chubby little fingers would allow me to do on social, especially if they have a query concerning a book. So that's groundwork. Like, it's graft, and I kind of think some people just walk in and think, yeah, I've done a slot on telly.
Yeah.
And I just think,
I've worked for Mob.
Mob, I don't have a problem with. Everyone.
Sorry.
Firing shots.
I don't have a problem with people that do things that are successful. It doesn't have to be to my taste. I'm not talking about Mob here.
No.
It doesn't have to be to my taste. But social media, like, I mean, they've already changed the algorithms online. That tells you that they're trying to trip you up. So what's cool now will not be cool one day. So I wouldn't rely on that.
No.
And if, like, I'm constantly telling my kids, like, I'm going to be an influencer. I'm like, you flipping won't.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not your mother, but you flipping won't. Like, you need to have something. If you want a nice life, if you want to travel, if you want to pay your bills, influencer, there's already a shit ton of people that have done it before you, honey.
You're late to the game.
Yeah. The game's changed.
Late.
Or changing.
Big time.
Is that what kids want to be, though? They want to be influencers?
I don't. The youngest wants to be a footballer. The oldest doesn't have a clue what he wants to be. And that's okay, because you're not really supposed to at 16.
No.
But he's closer to needing or people asking him, what do you want to do?
Yeah. We're doing a study.
I think he's smart and
he'll be all right.
Yeah, I think he will be.
What's the chance of the youngest one becoming a footballer?
Skill-wise, I would say he would be up there in the 90s. He's, I think he gets called Peter Beardsley a lot for his skill, and he used to play in a couple of quite big academies. He is a very gifted child, and but you know what? There's a lot of factors that have to do with that, and even then you can be in academies for years, and then they just drop 90%.
Newcastle fan? Big.
Really?
Yes.
Good year for him.
Hell of a year. Surely the Dan Burns story must have inspired him.
They've just been, listen, man, when we went to my father-in-law's funeral, like, the priest was there was this whole section on Newcastle United Football Club.
Really?
I was like, are you serious? Like,
you're a Chelsea fan, aren't you? Growing up in West London, I hope.
Freddie, you're going to cause trouble on the terraces.
Wash your mouth out.
QPR?
No.
United.
I didn't ever support.
Really?
I didn't ever support a London team, and I get kind of lauded by all my school friends. But
what?
Well, you're a United fan as well.
I'm a United fan. Yeah.
You'd basically either, if you're Persian, you're either a Liverpool, or Tottenham, or a Man United fan.
Yeah, right.
I was a Man United fan, but by the time I met my husband, I couldn't even tell you who played for the team at the time, and I thought, what kind of a fan I am. Here they are, living, sleeping, breathing, playing in the academy, driving to every match, you know.
Covered in black and white.
Covered in black and white, like literally.
So now you're a Geordie fan.
Beautiful.
Geordie.
Newcastle United, 100%. Yeah.
I love that.
Your first book, Persiana, we talked about it, was obviously a huge success. The next 2, 3, 4, whatever, all times bestsellers. But how terrifying was it getting ready for that second one? Because the first one was big. Ben, your first one was a times bestseller.
Yes, it was, Freddie.
How tough is that? Getting ready for the second album syndrome. Is there such a thing?
So much.
Well, there was for me. I don't think there was for you. What was it, Sirocco?
Yeah.
Was that the second?
Yeah.
Good book.
Thank you. So much anxiety. I still have anxiety.
Really?
Yeah, of course. I don't think people...
Because you've, given everything to the first one. And so
I gave everything. I give everything to everyone.
But you know what I mean?
But it is the second album syndrome isn't necessarily because of the person that's creating the album. No. It's because people go, well, that wasn't Dark Side of the Moon, or that wasn't Black Sunday, or that wasn't whatever album. You're like, it's not supposed to be. And I don't think the successful thing in life is to recreate what you've done again and again. No. You have to find a different way of putting it across.
Couldn't agree more.
So I didn't sleep. I still lose sleepless nights over that. It's a great book, but people are like, oh, that's not really Persiana.
Yeah.
Really?
No, it's not. It absolutely
meant to be.
Isn't Persiana, but it's like a lot of similar style of food. Like, I've got to give you new content, not shit rehashed, rejigged content that's not worth your money.
Yeah.
I've written a book and you've spent 20 odd quid on it. I owe you. So I get it. I'm just, the only difference between me now and then is now I just manage my anxieties as best as I can. But do I have them? Hell yeah, I have them. I have them 50 times worse than I ever had anxiety. But I don't think people allow me or think about the fact that I might have that, because they're like, oh, you're just everywhere, aren't you? You just do so much. And I'm like,
why is the anxiety getting worse?
Driven by the anxiety.
As I get older, and also social media, I only dial in to reply to people. I'm not a massive scroller.
No.
I try not to be, because it can consume you and fill you full of insecurity and, take your eye off your own game, and you think, like COVID, when COVID happened, I was like, oh my God, should I be doing videos?
Yeah.
These people are doing
Everyone's
videos.
doing videos.
Loads. They're dancing on TikTok. Should I be on TikTok? And I just thought,
did you dance on TikTok?
No, I didn't.
As in, because I agree, that gets in your head and you think, I'm going to have to do a dance.
You do, but it's what you don't know is all the people that are, not just with dance, obviously with food, but all the people that are my peers who are incredible authors. They're all thinking the same as me.
Yeah.
They're all thinking should I should. And I can see that move when their content goes up a notch. And I'm like, baby, if you want to do this, do it 100%. But just so you know, You don't have to be that.
Yeah.
You don't have to have. You can have 2 million viewers, and your viewers can be like from China, Argentina, Russia, and like nobody's buying your book.
No.
It doesn't. It's
Very true.
not got traction.
No.
And you just get abuse and opinions from people. I made a decision to step back from even trying to go there because it was too difficult for me. I couldn't do it. I couldn't summon the time to do enough of the content, and also I didn't want to deal with viral comments and getting a Barney every week because somebody told me my food looks shit or that I'm fat or whatever.
Brilliant. Thanks for the feedback. Yeah.
I'm
So you were saying your schedule is booked up until like next. So is that what you
not
decided?
in those words.
No, but you didn't use those words.
We
like,
plan a lot,
and so you are like, I'm going to go on the road. I'm going to meet people. I'm going to cook. That's your way of going instead. Yeah.
So I plan. I plan, and just because I'm very proactive, that's what everyone that works with me knows. That I'm really proactive. I don't, I always kind of have a theory that I sleep when I die. I have to peel that back a little bit, but I do. My calendar gets full with things I can't, like, I don't have maneuverability. Like, I have to shoot. I have to do it that date because that's when the client wants. I have to get this done before that date because that's when that launches. I have to train these people because that's when they're in town, like it is, or I have to fly here. And that, along with project of writing books and doing other things, I'm kind of not booked up. I'm sure there'll be tiny little windows, but pretty much there are big things in my diary until the end of spring, and that frightens me.
It's terrifying.
As much as I'm grateful for it.
No, yeah.
I love it. Yeah.
Sabrina, you've been wonderful. We're going to fire through a couple of go-to foods and then your location. Starting with, what is your guilty pleasure? So what is the dish that cheers you up?
There are too many. I think people lie when they say that there's one thing that does. I like a bit of filth, to be honest.
Go on.
Like, I like to eat shit.
Yeah.
Like, not greasy. I'm not a greasy food person, but I like snacking. Yeah. That's really my treat. I don't do it very often, but like, I eat like a pregnant person. I like pickles and salami and Haribo and cake all at once.
Nice. Well, so Freddie has an obsession about when you visit the fridge and you're just bringing a couple of things together, unexpected combinations. Have you got any that you think we should try?
It is long proven for well over a decade. I have a thing about crisp canapes.
Yeah.
Because they used to be my post-job. Couldn't eat, just knackered. So for me, jamon, but really good, like jamon de bellota. Sorry, Jose Bizarro.
Yeah, I think he'll be all right with that.
Wrapped,
no, that was a very good.
Wrapped around, what's it?
Really?
I know, that's why I'm sorry, are amazing. And those Torres truffle crisps?
Yeah.
I mean, they're kind of amazing on their own.
Amazing, yeah, I love them.
But you want to get them wrapped around some mortadella wrapped around, like really good mortadella di pistachio with like, mamma mia, is so good.
Well,
those kind of things are my crack.
I'm not surprised.
No one's ever properly answered that question.
No. That was the brilliant answer.
Yeah.
I mean, you're looking at about 10 quid a crisp, but...
Yeah, it's not...
Yeah.
Treat yourself.
It's a treat.
Wow.
Locations-wise, what's your go-to weeknight restaurant? You're up in Yorkshire, or you're down London.
You can be wherever you want.
Weeknight, like
if you can nip out for a meal.
I just don't.
No.
I just don't. I'll be really honest. Where I am, there's nothing really locally.
Pub.
Yeah, but they're quite early doors closing, and like a lot of places are closed on Monday and Tuesday. It's quite difficult. It's different if you're Leeds. Everything's but I am really in the sticks. And also, I don't really enjoy the takeaway offerings 8 miles down the road, which is our nearest area. So I've learned how to make everything. Well, I am Deliveroo,
so
I am Uber, I am all of those things. They don't even come.
And do you take requests?
I do.
As in from your children, not from the
do.
broader community?
Yeah, they're pretty much, their requests revolve around korma, burgers, shawarmas. It's like a standard 5 meals on rotation. I believe that's the Parent Trap.
Sounds amazing.
So
they're getting a kebab out of you?
Oh, yeah. It's the only thing that hits, hits well.
Yeah.
Christ.
So, yeah.
If you were going out to celebrate a blowout supper, what's your go-to?
Yeah,
really?
Ritz.
John Boy?
Yeah, love it. He's a son dancer. He's not of Geordie. He is a Geordie, really. But yeah, he's from South Shields, which is where the boys are born.
Is that right?
Even got the eldest a little stage there, and he turned it down, the little so-and-so.
What, under John Boy? He turned John Boy down.
Well, to be fair, it was 14, 15.
Yeah, fair play. I would have turned him down.
He's in the Newcastle Academy. It's like, do you want to go and stand in John Boy's
I think he was just a bit nervous about, like, I'm going to have to actually work.
No, terrifying.
Like, yeah, you will, but they will, they're not going to, he has an amazing kitchen with loads of people. He's a nurturer.
Yeah.
I was like, people would, like, chop their freaking arm off for this.
Yeah.
He's like, ugh.
Maybe he could revisit it.
Yeah, he can.
Deepak will sort him out, I'm sure.
He's amazing.
Yeah.
And do you have what would you be ordering at the Ritz? Is there or are you just
Nothing these days. I'd probably
No.
have to wait for someone who really needed to butter me up to take me there.
Yeah.
We're still waiting. We were meant to go there 2 years ago, weren't we?
That was amazing.
I think he's just waiting. He's biding his time.
Yeah.
You're just
we're waiting.
literally gonna.
We were going to go for Christmas, and then we...
It's very special.
Yeah.
It's very special. I'm obsessed with the langoustine. I love clean dishes. Their welly is amazing. And once, little claim to fame, the damsons from my tree made it in a big tray down to the kitchens there and ended up in one of their signature dishes with foie. And he said, Madame, chef has asked me to tell you that these are the damsons from your tree.
I mean,
and
that's
just
pretty
thought,
cool.
I think I've made it. I've officially
How often are you
made
dining
it.
there?
I wasn't there. I was dining there very regularly. I've
But it
been
was
a
a
handful of times with my publishers.
Did John pay you for the Damsons or not?
No, I would never accept money. Why? I would never accept money.
Fair.
Right. What are they going to do? Sit on the tree and go to the birds?
It was a good day
But
for
it's an
John's
honour.
GP on that dish.
Yeah. John's GP is amazing. That's incredible.
Great. I mean, I could get behind that. Go to
What
the Ritz.
about Hidden Gem?
Hidden gem.
Maybe down in London. Maybe not.
Should we go Persian?
Yeah, please.
Please.
You could even just do it like a little handful for us.
Okay. Let's pick Persian restaurants. There is one that we've been going to for a very long time, and it's so good they literally took over the next two businesses.
Nice.
Well, I love
And
that.
they've just are now a massive space. It's a restaurant called Quiche, and it's in the beginning of Maida Vale, coming up to is it Kensal Rise? Yeah, no, not coming up to Kensal Rise. End of Maida Vale, going up to Kilburn. Sorry.
How are you spelling quiche?
Kish.
Okay, nice.
And then there is Old School, very good, nice family-run Hafez, which is in W2, so behind Bayswater. And then there's a new one I tried because my mum said she'd been there and it's good, and she's like harsh.
Yeah.
She's like the scariest food critic in the country. Is my mum? I'm not scared of anyone, but her food opinions are like cutting. Called Chef Javad, Javad. It's near Kensington. It's like kind of coming up to Olympia, and it was amazing.
Yeah.
It really was. I was going in there to hate. Like I was going, this
Yeah.
is a silly concept. This guy in a beard. This is going to be ridiculous. And I was like, actually,
It's good.
Really good. Yeah.
Wow.
For
really
those
good.
who are like still new to Persian food and you're sitting in there looking at that menu, what should we be ordering?
Read my lips. Do not order hummus. Hummus is not Persian. Step away
from the hummus.
from the hummus. And I know Bear and Jack do a really good hummus, but I will not get behind it. However, Bear and Jack is also amazing food. It is slightly less traditional, but still the kebabs are traditional. A lot of the food is traditional. Don't order the hummus.
Okay. Just don't order. Sabrina, you
We
go?
won't.
That's it. I'm going to calm down.
Yeah, okay.
That was very good.
And so anything else is legit.
Yogurt and cucumber. We have yogurt and garlic. We have 2 smoked aubergine dishes. Like, we've got quite minimal offerings, so it's really straightforward. You don't go to a Persian restaurant, which are mostly about kebabs. You don't go and order the stews. You just don't, because that's like going to a chip shop and saying, "Can I have some chow mein, please?"
Yeah.
It's just not what you do. They do. Some of them do good food, like Ben and Jack. The other dishes are good. They are. But it's all about the kebab. And kebab just means to roast. And Persians have 3 kebabs: a minced lamb, a skewered lamb, and a chicken. That's it. Nice and simple.
Yeah.
And our rice is the best in the world.
Rice is good.
Your rice is the best. What is the secret there? Butter, is it?
Labour. Like a lot of labour. So it's a parboil situation. The only people that cook rice the same way that we do are the people that make biryani in India.
Yeah, right.
Influenced by Persians. So they parboil it, but they wash and rinse and do all kinds of shit that you don't need to do anymore because rice is commercially washed. But let's not argue with the mamas. And then you steam it. So every single grain has to be separate, and not touching and not sticking to each other. There is a real trick to that, and it's an art.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
When it's Persian food is really simple. So if you like Middle Eastern food and you just don't know where to start, and maybe you're not terribly adventurous yet, Persian food is elegant in its simplicity, very straightforward. There's no rare meat. It's all cooked through. It's all marinated. And it doesn't have spices. We don't use spices in the Middle East, in Iran, other than saffron, really. So it's very gentle and very huge. If your Persian portion isn't big, it's not a Persian restaurant.
Well, if you want to get started, just click the link in the podcast notes and buy Persiana or any of the other 6 books. All the new ones.
All 8 to the basket.
All 8.
The 8th on pre-order.
Yeah, 8th on pre-order.
And use the code GoToSabrina to get 50% off the bundle of 8. Is that right?
Sure.
Yeah. Why not?
That's pretty good.
Why not? Can you do a quick go dream weekend for us? If we're going on a little foodie weekend somewhere.
Am I going with you?
You're going to come
with
with
us. It'll be a flipping nightmare if I'm with you.
No, where would you go for a dream long weekend foodie, and where would you be eating?
I wouldn't let distance stop me. I'd still take you to Bangkok.
Yeah.
It's just my favourite city in the whole wide world. I just love, outside of London, I just love
Beautiful.
Bangkok so much.
Great shout.
Any spots you'd be definitely hitting?
So many spots.
Yeah.
Sham Gang, Sham Krok, Chop Chop, so many. So many, it's too many. 100 Mahaseth. Just the list is long.
Going down the river drinking, everyone's having fun.
I mean, I'm a kind of stationary drinker, sit back and relax kind of. Not like keep knocking the cheap booze
not quite
on
as
a
loose
moving
as
boat and getting splattered along the Klong Toi.
No, Lukey Farrow wanted us on a...
Lukey Farrow wanted us doing some acid in a chicken shop or something. You've been absolutely wonderful. We're going to finish, as we always do, with your go-to 3-course meal. What is it?
Go-to 3-course meal? We don't do courses.
I know, but we're going to have to. Just for the sponsors.
Is this like, can I do like a death row meal?
Death row meal.
All right, death row meal. Starters, just like every kind of seafood, like prawns, giant like fantasy prawns, like main course char grilled barbecue lobster with like 50 different dipping sauces and like phenomenally good chips, like the best chips you've ever had in your life, and you don't care if they were cooked in like pig fat, just like because you're going to die anyway. And then dessert, like the best chocolate mousse you've ever had in your life, and the ripest fruit, and like a frickin' bottle of Krug or Dom, like vintage, just to wash down with it, because it'd be rude not to. Like, if you're gonna kill me, let's go.
What a meal!
That was beautiful. Yeah. Well, that's certainly what we've got time for. Please make sure you leave a comment on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Spotify, you can leave on every episode. Get involved.
Can you?
Let us know your go-to 3-course meal or death row meal, whatever you want to call it, for sponsorship reasons.
Yeah.
If you're watching YouTube, please leave a comment. Please be subscribed. And please buy Sabrina's new book, which is coming out when?
August the 14th.
August the 14th, but available for pre-order now.
Available for
the name of it
now.
is?
Persiana Easy.
And the next two?
What next?
Well handled.
Oh, what next two? Sorry. Ben, lovely
played.
to see you. Sabrina, thank you so much for coming. Don't forget to use the code GoToBlink. If you're listening, you've got restaurants. It's a fraction of the price.
It's bonkers not to.
It is actually bonkers not to.
It actually is, though.
Yeah.
And we're going to give you this glass to take home.
Thank you very much.
So, everyone's winning. Anyway, what song do you want us to play you out with?
Kings of Leon, Sex on Fire.
Beautiful.
Well, you've got a recording of that ready, haven't you?
Yep. We're ready to go.
Let's go.
Thank you so much. Brilliant.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sabrina.